the last weekend playing Amulet, and he was doing some dunking on the Urza players as well.
That's true, that's true.
But he wants to try his hands at that side of the matchup, registering the Black Splash, little Sultai strategy.
Yeah, his list is actually pretty interesting. 4 interactive spells that aren't blue, 2 Fatal Push, 2 Abrupt Decay, which allow him a little bit of agency in the mirrors, helping knock off Oko, slowing down Gilded Goose, popping off Emery. A lot of times if you play too many counter spells, you just have a handful of them, and eventually you just die with multiple counter spells in hand, and then, hey, what was the point?
Ayers on the play, uses Scalding Tarn to fetch to 19 for a snow-covered island. Arkham's Astrolabe and Mishra's Bauble to follow. He'll pass after that.
Yeah, maybe he wanted to crack the Bauble to cycle. Maybe wants to just get another artifact onto the battlefield here.
Slayer's Stronghold, Amulet of Vigor for Delks. See Ayers firing off the Bauble now in his main phase. Plays Pluto Delta as land for turn. And he's just going to draw that card he saw as we go back over to Dilks. And in the upkeep, draws off Bauble and Abrupt Decays down that Amulet.
Yeah, and this is huge here. Having this minor piece of interaction could completely swing the game in his direction. Dilks might have been reliant on that Amulet of Vigor, not only to just generate a bunch of mana as the game goes on, but could have maybe even cast something like a Zusa this turn and started to go off.
It was a fetch shock, so Ayers at 16. For Dilks, he's going to play a Simic Growth Chamber, pick up that Slayer's Stronghold, and pass back. 7-card hand because he had the Amulet. Was on the draw. Bounce lands can get you into a little bit of trouble with hand size, but he's good here.
I'm really curious to see how aggressively Ayers uses Cryptic Command to bounce those bounce lands from Matthew Dilks, because if you send them back to the hand, that effectively acts as like a double Stone Rain. It's so brutal.
Here's another Astrolabe for Ayers and another snow-covered island. He will pass back to Dilks. There's a Slayer's Stronghold and a Sousa, the turn 3 play. No response. Talaria West and Simic Growth Chamber played. Slayer's Stronghold picked up once again.
Yeah, I was not expecting that to resolve, but it's possible Ayers doesn't have the Metallic Rebuke or just chose to hold it for a Primeval Titan next turn, maybe.
Flooded Strand go for Ayers. At this point, representing Cryptic Command as we go back over to Dilks. Some pressure to find one of the 2 Cavern of Souls in the deck.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I thought he might already have it. I didn't want to say anything just because he played Talaria West as one of his lands, and instead of holding it to transmute. But it's possible he just didn't have a 6th mana source without it. And since he didn't have the Amulet, it was going to enter the battlefield tapped. So
here's Slayer's Stronghold and then a Simic Growth Chamber to pick that up. Mana floating here.
So I think he's keeping track of land drops. He floated a colorless mana, if I'm not mistaken. So he should have 4 mana here. Maybe going to transmute Talaria West and hold up a green mana, I would guess.
Yes, there is transmute on Talaria West. Green mana floating.
And you can use all number of things with this green mana. Once upon a time, one of those accelerants. Doesn't quite have enough mana to cast Primeval Titan here. My guess is Dilks is actually just going for Cavern of Souls, and he's going to try to Cavern on a Giant next turn for the Primeval Titan.
Yeah, Cavern is the find.
Do have to be a little careful in this matchup simply because the card Summoner's Pact occasionally gets you killed if too many of your lands get bounced. But with 3 Simic Growth Chambers, I don't think that should be a problem at all.
Dilks is going to use that floating green mana and one other for an Explorer. Put that Cavern on the battlefield. Presumably Giant is the name. Giant is confirmed. And here's Sakura Tribe Scout. Asuza attacks for 1, errors to 15.
Error's trying to figure out what to do on end step. There's a boatload of mana on the other side of the battlefield. Primeval Titan threat is looming with that Cavern of Souls. And you have to imagine that Dilks wouldn't transmute to Talaria West to go get a Cavern of Souls unless he already had the Primeval Titan. Because first and foremost, you want to get Titan, and Talaria West does effectively act like another copy of Summoner's Pact.
One of the edges that you often have playing Amulet Titan is very few people have any idea how your deck works. However, Daryl Ayers, another very practiced player with Titan, so if he has a line that can win, he's one of the more likely players to find it. We see him fetch to 15 end step for a Watery Grave. Fatal Push down the Azusa.
It's weird phenomenon that happened to me a bunch when I was my mid-20s was I would regularly shy away from playing the best deck in the format because I just didn't want to get hated out. Usually it was like some sort of combo deck or whatever. But I would always go through the reps in practice on Magic Online and learn the deck and make sure that I was not being dumb. Like make sure that, you know, it was the best deck, but it could get very hated out. But what happened a lot is I ended up just learning how to play all the decks in the format better than my opponents. And while Daryl Ayers is probably not better than Dilks at this deck, knowing how the deck operates inside and out can certainly help him potentially win this matchup.
So play for Ayers this turn. Polluted Delta, Oko, Alkify the Astrolabe, swing for 3, Dilks to 17, deploy Gilded Goose, make a food. Now we'll go back over to Dilks. And pretty quick confirmation on that Primeval Titan here, getting cast off that Cavern of Souls.
Yeah, not a lot that Ayers can do about it thanks to the Cavern. But he does have the Oko at the ready, so this will basically be one of the very few times that Dilk is going to get to trigger the Primeval Titan, assuming Ayers wants to poof it into an Elk.
Primeval Titan going to go find some lands, as it does. Boros Garrison and Field of the Dead found. That's a couple zombies. Picks up Tolaria West off of the bounce land. And he will transmute that one.
Yep, so he's going to float the blue man off, return it, and then he's going to transmute it and probably go get, I would guess, Pact of Negation? Yeah.
Yeah, Pact it is, and Ayers is going to take his turn.
He's in a heap of trouble. Primeval Titan on the battlefield, Field of the Dead.
I mean, he can Elk the Titan. The
Right.
field is seeming like it might get him.
Well, he can Elk the Titan, sure, but I'm saying, like, just the fact that he has Force of Negation has resolved the Titan with Field of the Dead, you know? Like, things are not looking very good for Daryl. Now, things can certainly change, but we talked a lot about this last week, where these new iterations of Urza don't have a combo kill. They're trying to play a fair game of Magic, and the card Field of the Dead is actually very good against them.
Yes. A pretty low maintenance value engine is Field of the Dead. So Ayers alkafies the Primeval Titan and passes turn.
It's funny, Dilks has so much mana, but only has 7 total lands, and 3 of them are Simic Growth Chambers. Yikes. Comes Primeval Titan number 2, off the Cavern of Souls yet again. I guess Ayers here is thinking about using Cryptic Command to bounce Field of the Dead, because otherwise there's just going to be a bunch of zombies coming.
Well, no response, so here is the Primeval Titan trigger.
I also love that Dilks just kind of casually already thought about the Field of the Dead getting bounced, so use it to cast the Primeval Titan. I guess it's minor, but like it was automatic.
Going to be Gruul Turf and Vesuva found off the Titan.
When it comes to Field of the Dead, does Vesuva count as its...
Okay. It enters as the field, yeah.
Okay. Well, he did choose to copy Field of the Dead.
Here's a Cryptic Command from Ayers. It's hit by Pact of Negation, so whatever the modes are, don't matter much. Slayer Stronghold fires up on the new Titan. It attacks for 8, along with that 3/3 Elk.
Yep. Yeah, the Boros Garrison here giving the new Primeval Titan haste, and it's crunching on in.
This is all coming at Oko.
Yeah. There's just going to be so many zombies next couple turns.
Ghost Quarter, one of the lands found here.
And that finally unlocks the Field of the Dead. And whatever other land this is here is going to effectively create 4 zombies. It's a bounce land. He can return a land to his hand and then use Sakura Tribe Scout to make 2 more. I believe he also has a land drop to make. So unless Errors can find Imri and Engineer Explosives very quickly, these, at the very least, the zombies are going to be too much for him.
Bojuka Bog, the other land found. You see Ayers fetching here. Down to 14, finds Mystic Sanctuary. Going to put Cryptic Command on the top of the library. You see there's 4 zombies there for Dilks now. Field of the Dead finally paying off.
Yeah, it's a little awkward, just slightly awkward in this deck. It's not too bad.
So Elk in front of the 8 power Primordial Titan. Chump block on the Elk. 5 damage, knocks Oko to 1. Here's a breeding pool from Dilks. A couple more zombies on the way. Sakura Tribe Scout, and to pass the turn.
And this is all in an effort to keep Oko alive so it can turn the other Primordial Titan into an Elk. It's very unlikely Ayers is able to win this game, but that starts with being able to deal with that Primeval Titan via the Oko.
There's a tap of 4 from Ayers. It's going to be Urza. Construct assembled. We know the draw step was Cryptic Command because of Mystic Sanctuary.
And the Urza generating the Construct actually gives Ayers the capability of casting the Cryptic Command even though he only has 1 land up. Now he doesn't necessarily need to poof the Primeval Titan this turn because he's tapping all the creatures before they attack next turn, I believe. But he's just going to go ahead and get it done.
Don't want to risk something silly happening. Actually, on the table, there's something to think about here. A Sakura Tribe Scout could make a land, which makes a zombie, which you could stronghold up after Cryptic Command resolves.
See, Daryl already thought of that.
Yeah.
Daryl is casting Engineer Explosives for X equals 1. And now he's going to crack it.
Yeah, pops that off right away.
Now, Tribe Scout is going to put a land on the battlefield, make at least 2 more zombies. The other one has Summoning Sickness, I believe. Dilks here just trying to figure out which land to return. Maybe it's just Growth Chamber. If he draws a Zusa, just starts making a bunch at a time. Not sure what happened there exactly. I assume that Dilk says I'm going to pay for pack mitigation. Daryl's packed it up.
Yeah. Are you dead if I have 1,000,000 power and don't forget my pack trigger?
Yeah. It's also possible Ayers was too focused on stopping the line you talked about and was way less focused on just killing all the zombies and realized, oh, I actually can't Cryptic Command anymore.
Too many of those things, and I tapped off of my Cryptic Command. Yeah.
All right, so both players are going to be taking a look at the sideboard here. We'll get those up for you in just a second. Let's talk about these 2 players a little bit because, honestly, they just put up great finishes last year on the tour. Daryl Ayers barely missed out on the Players' Championship, but I think that a lot of that has to do with him full-timing job and school.
Right.
So it's not as easy.
I think he largely played Team Opens. Of course, top-8'd most of the Team Opens he played.
Right. Most of them were with that man on the left, Matthew Dilks. Most of them were the deck on the left, Amulet Titan.
Right. Players off to a great start already. This is our 2nd Open of the season. You see they're locked for day 2. One will be 8-1, and the other will be 7-2. They're in the top 16 of the leaderboard early on, so they had 2 buys this weekend. Looking to maintain. We'll take a look at the sideboards here for Matthew Dilks. He has 3 Dismember, 3 Mystical Dispute, 2 Beast Within, a Tectonic Edge, a Radiant Fountain, Engineer Explosives, a Field of the Dead, a Reclamation Sage, a Ramunap Excavator, and a Tireless Tracker.
So looking over this list, there's a lot of things that Dilks can bring in, but I think that the things that stand out the most to me are Dismember and Mystical Dispute. I think it would behoove him to become a bit more interactive. I think Mystical Dispute is excellent against all forms of Urza because the majority of their spells are blue. So 1-mana counter spells just It's just outrageous. Dismember is a 1-mana removal spell. But if you have disputes and dismembers, you basically get to pick and choose what you interact with instead of being forced to interact with every single thing that Eris plays. So dismember can knock off a Goose if he has an abundance of removal. Otherwise, can maybe let it sit, hold the dismember for something like Urza or Emery down the line. Other than that, just those 6 cards I like bringing in. Maybe the other Field of the Dead because of how good it is in the really long games. Maybe the Tireless Tracker, but hit or miss.
So the sideboard for Ayers then, 4 Mystical Disputes, 3 Ashiok Dream Render, 2 Future Sight, 2 Fatal Push, 2 Maelstrom Pulse, Unmoored Ego, and Ceremonious Rejection.
I've seen some people board in Dispute to fight Dispute, which is pretty toxic if you ask me. But I don't think it's that good here. There are very few actual blue cards in Dilks' list, so I'd probably leave those aside. However, Ashiok Dream Render, an absolute home run. The extra removal like Fatal Push, I don't really recommend it, but he did draw 2 of them last game, and they were excellent. So he may feel differently in the matchup. Cards like Maelstrom Pulse can pop Titan or Amulet or whatever, and it's fine. I don't know if it's great. And Unmoored Ego is obviously coming in because it just steals all your Primeval Titans, and your deck doesn't do anything.
Sure. And I think a card like Fatal Push, it's selectively useful, so Ayers probably has an idea of how many he wants, somewhere between 1 and 4.
Right.
Above 0.
All right, we're off to the races here. The problem is he's, playing 2 main deck, right? So he's made a conscious decision that 2 is the correct number to be playing in the main for the majority of matches. And then he has 2 more in the sideboard against what I would assume would be super creature-heavy decks where he just wants a lot of removal.
Yeah, humans, prowess.
Like, if you want 4 in this matchup, I feel like you just want 4.
Yeah,
right?
I'd buy that. Ayers is going to start here with the fetch to 19 into Arkham's Astrolabe off Snow-Covered Island. Once Upon a Time into Tolaria West is where Dilks will start. The land will be Forest and Sakura Tribe Scout now. Check for a Fatal Push on that one.
Yeah, it does have access to black mana thanks to Arkham's Astrolabe, that powerful artifact from MH1.
Gilded Goose is where Ayers starts the turn. Scalding Tarn, Mox Opal.
Yep.
And he will pass.
Has access to Metallic Rebuke if he has it in hand, just with the stuff he has on the table. Oh, I'm sorry. He actually doesn't have Metallic Rebuke in his list. He actually had to make room for Fatal Push and Abrupt Decay somehow. I guess that's how. Apologies for that. I've been talking about it for... I'm so used to seeing it in these decks.
There's a lot of different iterations on this deck.
There are.
Got to be like a hawk on these deck lists. Matthew Dilks on turn 2, going to work. Castle Garenbrig, activate Tribe Scout, put in Gemstone Mine, cast a Souza, Tolaria West, and then Boros Garrison, picking up Gemstone Mine. Huge mana development here.
Yeah, Azusa with those bounce lands from original Ravnica block is just such a powerful combination, because normally a card like Azusa or Explore or even Arboreal Grazer, if you've played Standard, you know that Arboreal Grazer is just horrible sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. And the same can be said for cards like Azusa, but the trick is literally just playing lands that count as 2 land drops. That's all you have to do to make them good.
See Ayers doing some fetching here. Found a breeding pool end step, finding another snow-covered island here. He's at 19.
Oh no, that's not it.
Gonna be Urza.
Urza!
Well, he'll pass with Urza online. We'll see if Dilks can get a Titan going.
He actually has Cryptic Command mana up, thanks to Goose being able to tap for mana after the food is tapped for blue.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, that's the deck.
Gemstone Mine is back.
Look like a transmute of Tolaria West to me.
Yeah, float 3 mana. Pick up Tolaria West with the Gruul Turf. Transmute Tolaria West.
Yep, and 1 land is in play. Still has 2 more land drops, one of which is a Cavernous Souls.
Yeah, that's what he finds off the Tolaria West. Name's Giant and passes.
Yeah, playing it a little slowly. Could get punished, but again, Errors does not have a infinite combo. So there's no real reason for Dilks to go super fast other than just getting out-carded. But that's just so hard to do when you start resolving Primeval Titan for Field of the Dead, you know?
Here's a Bobble for Ayers. Takes a look at the top card of his deck.
With that said, I think it would be smart if Ayers start to put on the gas a bit, start attacking with the Construct, get some damage in, so that maybe Cryptic Command actually just steals the game out from under Dilks by tapping everything down.
Yeah, if you could find a way to make a fast clock, getting a big hit this turn, you kind of have an issue where Sousa and Sakura Tribe Scout are pretty functional chump blockers. I don't think Dilks will miss either of them too much. Ayers is going to spin the Urza here.
Choosing to tap the Construct here instead of just a land. Pretty interesting. I don't really get it because I really wanted to start attacking. But perhaps he has other plans. Didn't want maybe Urza to get dismembered, so wants to use the mana artifacts as quickly as possible. Maybe that's a thing. Although I feel like a dismember would have happened like on upkeep if he had it.
Yeah. Finds Mishra's Bobble. Or Mock Sapphire, I suppose.
Oh, Mox Bobble.
There's Polluted Delta. He'll fetch down to 16. Finds Snow-Covered Swamp.
Now, this is a really tough spot for Daryl just because that Cavern of Souls means that Primeval Titan is looming, and there's not a whole lot he can do about it. His deck's not really well set up to deal with it. Now, I may go for another spin, try to hit that Unmoored Ego. That'd be a hot one. He's going to look at the top card. All right, looks like we're going for another spin because that top card was bad.
And now has used 2 Bobbles on this turn.
Come on, Unmoored Ego or Ashiok. Both those cards play here. He's got effectively 4 stone outs that just decimate Dilks' development.
How about Mox Opal?
Yeah, how about not? Mox Notpul?
Not Opal.
Yeah. Nah.
I gave him my best.
Yeah.
It's round 9, dude.
Everyone tried hard.
Yeah.
All right, so he's going to draw off of 2 Mishra's Bobbles that were popped last turn. Then we're back to Dilks, who very likely has a Primeval Titan coming down this turn.
Certainly was setting that up with that Cavern last turn, and now we do see the Titan come down.
I believe there is a mana floating in here somewhere. For, like, the Gemstone was filtered into the Garen Brig.
No. He's using Cavern of Souls, so he can't use Garen Brig.
I mean, you can float 6 off of Garen Brig and then use Cavern of Souls, what I was saying. But, he just didn't, and that's fine, too.
Yeah. I mean, he probably wants to, if he's using mana, it's on activating lands from this point, right? So he doesn't really want the Garen Brig mana.
Yeah. So Boros Garrison gives it haste, and he's going to attack, probably go get Field of the Dead. Bojuka Bog probably be the 2. Maybe Talaria West and a bounce land. I don't know. There's a lot of decisions.
We'll give it a think. We'll let Dilks do the land selecting.
I was going to say, Dilks knows what to do.
Yeah. Field of the Dead. Get some zombies going. Celestia Sanctuary as well. Pick up one of these lands. Just a Sanctuary itself. With the Sousa and Tribe Scout, you can just kind of keep putting that one on the table, keep making a zombie token.
Yeah, any bounce land is just another zombie. And with a Sousa and Sakura Tribe Scouts, 4 extra zombies a turn.
Here's a Breeding Pool. That'll make a zombie.
Now, holding the Celestia Sanctuary in hand also protects your Field of the Dead from getting destroyed somehow. I don't know if there's any ways for Daryl to do that exactly, but maybe.
He's opted for Abrupt Decay over Assassin's Trophy. So there's 4 zombies there. Ayers at 8. That Titan got hasted up.
It's also possible these players don't exactly know their lists.
True.
Daryl got a real sad look on his face, I would say. Exasperated. Knows that he's really far behind. Needs a lot of help here.
Try an Emery. Flips over some junk. There's an Astrolabe and a Mox Opal in there.
It's kind of why I thought Dilks would get Bojuka Bog, because I feel like the only way for Daryl to get out of this is Explosives plus Emery, plus a bunch of other stuff.
Some combination of first solve the Titan
Right.
and then take care of the rest of the stuff.
With that said, the zombies are important. And the Bojuka Bog is not nearly as good without a repeatable way to play it via Bounce Land. So it makes sense why he would get Bounce Land.
Here's a tap of 5. Urza's going spinning. Dex randomized. We'll keep it where it is. And here's Ashiok. That's okay. It would have been great last turn.
Yeah, at this point it's still good, but it has a chance to just get attacked down by the Titan and the zombie tokens. And
So does Daryl.
oh yeah, he's at 8. Yeah, never mind. And Dilk still has the ability to secure Tribe Scout EOT to make another zombie, and that's a lot of pressure coming across next turn.
So here is Mystic Sanctuary, or maybe not. There are 3 other islands.
Take seas, back seas.
Kept his hand on it. We
Yeah.
do chess rules for lands now.
Is that actually true?
That they allow you to do that in chess, or that we do it in Magic.
Magic thing.
Well, there's a concession from Ayers, but it's gonna be a 2-0 win for Matthew Delks. But yeah, if you leave your hand on it, your land drops aren't locked in. You know, it's the kind of thing where no information is